There comes a moment in life when you realize that caring too much is breaking you. You gave them your heart, your time, your soul, and in return, they gave you silence, betrayal, and disappointment. You kept hoping they'd change, kept waiting for the day they'd value your loyalty, but all they ever did was drain you dry. And now, here you are, numb, tired, and on the edge of giving up. But listen to me, you don't have to lose your heart to become strong. You don't have to become cold to protect yourself. What you need is mastery. Emotional mastery. Becoming emotionless doesn't mean you stop feeling, it means you stop reacting. It means you learn to guard your peace, not because you don't care anymore, but because you care too much about your own soul to let it be shattered by people who don't deserve access to it. You must rise, not with anger, not with bitterness, but with powerful stillness. This is the path. This is where you learn to walk through storms without flinching, to love without being controlled, to detach without destroying your essence. And it begins right now. When you're in the heat of a moment, when someone disrespects you, betrays you, or throws their bitterness at you, it's so easy to react. Your heart pounds, your voice rises, and your first instinct is to defend yourself or strike back. But that's not power. That's surrender. That's handing over your peace to someone who didn't earn the right to hold it. See, true strength begins when you learn to pause, not to shut down, not to give up, but to breathe, to feel everything and still choose silence. Because that silence, that's your power chamber. That's where reflection lives. And if you can own the pause, you own your life. You stop being a puppet to chaos. You stop being led by offense. Every second you wait, every breath you take before reacting, you gain distance between what happened and how you respond. That distance, that's freedom. That's emotional intelligence. That's where warriors are born, not the ones who swing first, but the ones who stand still with clarity in their eyes. They see everything, they calculate, they choose, and when they act, it's not out of ego, it's out of wisdom. That's what it means to master the pause. The problem is we've been taught that silence means weakness. That if you don't speak up right away, you're being passive. But that's a lie. Silence is the language of discipline. Think about how many regrets were born out of fast words, how many friendships ended, how many doors were closed, all because we couldn't wait 5 seconds. Now imagine what your life would look like if you bought yourself just a little space before every emotional storm. That pause becomes your protection. It shields your peace, your relationships, your purpose. People who master the pause, they don't fight every battle. They don't need to, because their energy is not scattered, it's sacred. They don't argue with fools, and they don't entertain chaos. They sit in stillness, and when the time is right, they speak with impact. That pause gives birth to words that matter, actions that count. You don't owe anyone instant access to your emotions. You owe yourself time to process what's really going on inside you before you let anyone pull you out of character. That's emotional maturity. Every time someone triggers you, you're being invited into a test. A test that asks, are you in control or are your emotions in control? And the answer always shows up in that small window right before your reaction. If you can sit still in that tension, if you can hold the fire without burning the room down, you're already evolving. Most people speak just to be heard. Most people react because they're uncomfortable sitting in their feelings, but you're going to learn to sit in it. You're going to train your mind to pause, and in that pause, you will understand the truth. Your emotions are messengers, not masters. They don't need to be obeyed. They need to be observed. Feel them, yes, but don't follow them. That's what self-mastery looks like. You can feel betrayal without becoming bitter. You can feel anger without becoming destructive. You can feel sadness without collapsing. That's the power of reflection. Feeling everything, reacting to nothing until you choose what serves your higher self. That's when you stop being a reactor and start being a leader of your own life. Mastering the pause isn't about being cold. It's about being precise. It's about refusing to give your energy to things that don't deserve your thunder. There's a difference between power and force. Force pushes back instantly. Power waits, watches, and moves with intention. You've got to ask yourself, how many times has rushing in ever truly worked in your favor? Most of your damage was done in haste. And now it's time to break that cycle. Next time you're tempted to react, pause. Close your eyes if you need to. Bite your tongue if you must. But give yourself the gift of time. Because in that silence, your soul will speak, and it will show you the bigger picture. That's where peace lives. Not in pretending you're unaffected, but in choosing not to let anything pull you off your center. Because the moment you let someone else's actions decide your reaction, you've handed them the keys to your emotional house. Take those keys back. Lock the door. Stand in your power. There will be times when the pressure is unbearable. Someone will say something that cuts deep. Someone will do something that shakes your faith in humanity. And in those moments, your old self will beg to respond, to defend, to attack, to explode. But that's the moment where you meet your transformation. If you want to change your life, you have to change that moment. The pause is not just a delay. It's a decision. A decision to protect your peace. A decision to stand in wisdom instead of war. Let the world rush. Let the world chase validation and vengeance. You're different now. You're learning how to build a calm so unshakable that no one else's chaos can enter. That calm is not given. It's built. Brick by brick, pause by pause. Each time you choose not to react, you strengthen your core. And soon, people will notice. They'll wonder how you stay so composed, how you move with such peace. But they won't understand. You bled in silence to earn that kind of control. And here's the truth. They will test your patience. Not once, but many times. They'll say things just to get a rise out of you. They'll push buttons they know will hurt. But when you master the pause, you no longer play that game. You see through it. You recognize that when people lash out, it's not always about you. It's about the war going on inside them. So why let their storm enter your soul? You become a shield, not a sponge. You absorb nothing that's not aligned with your peace. That doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise. You've learned that your energy is expensive and you won't waste it on reactions that solve nothing. Let others yell. Let them mock. Gossip. Provoke. You've already won the moment you chose stillness over chaos. You've already elevated the moment you didn't let their noise interrupt your silence. That's power. That's mastery. And that's the beginning of your freedom. There comes a time in your life when you must choose between pleasing others and protecting yourself. That moment is sacred. That moment defines whether you live for approval or you live with purpose. And here's what nobody tells you. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to you. Not your time, not your energy, not your heart. Not anymore. You spent too long letting people cross lines you never drew, wondering why you feel so drained, so unseen, so disrespected. It's because you kept giving pieces of yourself to people who never earned them. That ends now. You don't need to scream. You don't need to fight. All you need is to decide that your peace matters more than their comfort. Set the boundary, stand by it, and don't explain it, because boundaries are not built for others to understand. They're built for you to heal. They're a declaration of self-worth. They're the invisible fence that says you can't come this close anymore. Not with that energy, not with that behavior. And when you draw that line, people will react. They'll call you cold, selfish, distant. Let them. Because the truth is, they only complain when the benefits of disrespect are no longer available. Setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out. It's about choosing who gets to stay in. And not everyone should. Not everyone deserves the version of you that shows up with love, time, compassion, and loyalty. Some people only show up to take, to use, to drain, and then disappear when you need them the most. And if you let them keep doing that, it's no longer their fault. It's your pattern. But patterns can be broken. You don't need to be rude. You don't need to be aggressive. You just need to be clear. Tell them where the line is and stick to it. That's how you build self-respect. Not by being available 24/7, but by valuing your time like gold. Because it is. Your energy, it's sacred. And if someone doesn't treat it that way, they don't belong in your circle. Love doesn't mean access. Forgiveness doesn't mean repetition. And kindness doesn't mean tolerance. You can be kind and still keep your distance. You can forgive and still protect your space. You can love people and still say, not like this. People will test you. They'll push back when you finally say no. They'll try to guilt you with their emotions, with their history, with the illusion that you owe them something. But you owe them nothing that costs you your peace. Listen to that again. You owe them nothing that costs you your peace. Your boundary is not betrayal, it's survival. It's what you put in place when you're done being walked over, when you're done being the emotional dumpster for people who never ask how you're doing, when you're done pretending that you're okay with being treated like an option. Boundaries are the moment you wake up and realize, if I don't protect myself, nobody will. And it doesn't make you mean, it makes you awake. It makes you strong. Don't apologize for saying I can't today. Don't apologize for not picking up the phone when your soul is exhausted. You're not cold, you're conserving. You're not distant, you're healing. And if someone can't understand that, they were never for you in the first place. Here's the truth. Real ones will respect your boundaries. They won't question them, mock them, or make you feel guilty for having them. Because people who truly love you want to see you whole, not used. But the ones who only came for the benefits, they'll fall off. They'll distance themselves the moment you stop being convenient. And that's okay. Let them go. Let their silence be your clarity. Every time you choose your peace over chaos, you get stronger. Every time you draw a line and don't move it, you reinforce the value of your presence. See, boundaries aren't meant to keep love out, they're meant to keep poison out. And some people carry poison in their words, their habits, their presence. You don't need that in your life. You're building something sacred now. You're building a version of yourself that refuses to shrink just to make others feel tall. You're stepping into a season where your peace is non-negotiable. And if that means fewer people around you, let it be. Because the ones who remain, those are your real tribe. You may feel guilty at first. That's natural. Especially if you've been the yes person your whole life. Especially if your worth was tied to how much you could give, how often you could show up, how much pain you could tolerate. But guilt fades. Peace doesn't. And with every boundary you enforce, that guilt turns into confidence. You start realizing that the people who respect your lines are the people worth keeping. And those who try to cross them, they were never here for the right reasons. You weren't born to be someone's emotional punching bag. You weren't born to be stretched until you snap. You were born to live in truth. And truth requires space. Space to breathe, space to feel, space to be treated with dignity. Don't fear the fallout. The ones who matter will adapt. The rest, let them leave. You didn't lose them. You lost the illusion that you needed them. And that's freedom. Your boundaries are a mirror. They show people how to treat you. And when you raise your standards, don't be surprised when some people walk away. Be proud. Be proud that you finally started choosing yourself. Be proud that you stopped apologizing for needing rest, for asking for respect, for requiring decency. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to live fully, boldly, and that life demands boundaries. You're no longer begging for crumbs of love, attention, or loyalty. You're setting the table. And if they can't bring the same energy you bring, they don't get a seat. You're not cold. You're clear. You're not arrogant. You're aware. You're not selfish. You're finally loving yourself enough to say, this is as far as you go. And that's the beginning of peace that lasts. That's where your power lives now. In the silence, in the strength, in the boundary. You were born with a heart that feels everything: pain, joy, betrayal, hope. You feel people's energy before they speak. You sense dishonesty even when their words sound sweet. And for the longest time, you thought your sensitivity was a weakness. But what if I told you it's not? What if I told you that feeling deeply is your superpower, but only if you learn to move wisely? See, you can feel everything and still choose not to act on every emotion. That's emotional intelligence. That's mental mastery. That's power. Because the moment you let emotions drive your decisions without direction, you start burning bridges that could have been rebuilt. Or worse, you start building bridges to people who were never supposed to cross into your life. Feel, yes. Cry if you need to. Get angry, grieve. But don't let those feelings decide your moves. Pause, evaluate, Ask yourself, will this action lead me toward my peace or away from it? Wisdom doesn't silence emotions, it just gives them a seat in the back, not the driver's seat. And when you learn to feel everything but still act with clarity and strength, you become untouchable. Not because you don't hurt, but because you know how to heal before you respond. There's a fire inside you that's been lit by heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment. And that fire, it can burn your life down or it can light your path. The choice is yours. You can feel the pain of being overlooked, but still decide not to chase people. You can feel the sting of someone's disrespect and still not retaliate. You can feel loneliness and still not settle for someone who isn't aligned with your worth. That's what wisdom does. It doesn't numb your feelings. It teaches you what to do with them. You don't need to be stone cold to protect yourself. You need to be awake, fully aware of your emotions, but never ruled by them. People will poke at your heart. They'll try to manipulate you through what you feel. But when you walk with wisdom, they lose access to that control. Because you no longer act based on the heat of a moment. You act based on vision, purpose, and values. Emotions rise and fall. Wisdom remains steady. And when you anchor yourself in that, no one can make you act small just because they made you feel small. You rise quietly, powerfully, and on your own terms. You don't need to stop loving people to protect your peace. You just need to love with boundaries. You can still be loyal, but don't be blind. You can still be kind, but not at your own expense. Feel everything, but then filter it through your wisdom. Just because you miss someone doesn't mean they're meant to come back. Just because you're hurt doesn't mean you destroy everything around you. That's where the discipline comes in. The discipline to sit in your emotions long enough to understand them, not just release them. We live in a world that moves fast. React now, respond instantly, show up loud. But the strongest people are the ones who slow it down. They process, they pause, and then they strike with precision. You don't need to match anyone's chaos. You don't need to prove anything to people who've already shown you they don't value you. Move wisely. That means letting people go without needing closure. That means walking away from drama without feeling guilty. That means letting your tears water your growth, not your destruction. The goal isn't to feel less, it's to feel better and act smarter. You will meet people who confuse your emotions as weakness. They'll see your empathy and think they can manipulate it, but they're wrong. Because what they don't know is that your emotions are backed by wisdom. Now, you've grown. You've been through too much to keep falling into the same traps. Yes, you feel deeply, but you've learned how to turn that pain into perspective. You've learned to ask, is this love or is this attack? You've learned to ask, is this opportunity real or is it wrapped in distraction? And with those questions, you start to see clearly. You stop rushing, you stop needing validation, you stop living for reactions and start living for alignment. People may try to trigger you, confuse you, guilt you, but none of that works when you've trained yourself to check in with your own truth before responding. That's what wisdom does. It gives you vision beyond the emotion. It gives you strategy inside the storm. And it allows you to love, lead, walk, and speak from a place of power, not pain. Sometimes the wisest move is silence. Sometimes it's walking away. Sometimes it's choosing not to engage, even when every part of you wants to scream. That doesn't mean you're suppressing anything. It means you're conserving your energy for the moves that actually matter. You're not here to react to every insult, every lie, every disappointment. You're here to build something greater. So take your time. Feel the pain if it comes. Let it teach you, let it strengthen your core, but don't ever let it define your actions. You are not your hurt. You are not your anxiety. You are not your past. You are the one who chooses what happens next. You are the one who gets to say this emotion is real, but it doesn't get to steer the wheel. And when you live like that, when your actions are rooted in purpose, not pressure, you begin to walk in emotional freedom, not because you don't feel, but because you've learned when to act, when to wait, and when to walk away. So let them talk. Let them judge. Let them misunderstand your silence, your calm, your distance. They don't know what you've battled inside. They don't know how many storms you've sat through, how many nights you spent fighting to control the rage, the grief, the sadness. And they don't need to. Because this is not about them. This is about you choosing to move with peace, no matter how deep you feel. You're not afraid to love again, but now you love wisely. You're not afraid to trust again, but now you trust slowly. You're not afraid to give, but now you give to those who give back. That's the balance. That's the power. That's what it means to feel deeply but move wisely. You are no longer led by impulse. You are led by insight. And when you move with insight, when your emotions become allies and not enemies, you become unshakable. You become unstoppable. You become free. You've come a long way, not just in this message, but in your life. Through storms you didn't see coming, heartbreaks you never expected, and lessons that cut deeper than anyone could see. And yet, here you are, still standing. Still fighting, still seeking clarity, peace, and power. What you've heard today isn't just about being cold or detached. It's about becoming the master of your own mind, the guardian of your own soul. You don't need to stop caring. You just need to stop giving your energy to those who never respected it. You don't need to stop loving. You just need to stop loving at your own expense. That's the difference. That's the power shift. Choosing to become emotionless without losing your heart is a spiritual discipline. You're not shutting down. You're waking up. You're no longer triggered by every noise around you because you found peace within. You've learned that not every battle is yours to fight. Not every invitation to chaos is worth accepting, and not every feeling deserves a reaction. You've learned the sacred art of silence, the strength of boundaries, and the wisdom of timing. You now know that it's okay to feel, but you don't have to act on everything you feel. And that's what changes everything. Your future depends on this version of you, the one who reflects before reacting, who walks away without apology, who loves without begging, and who leads their life with wisdom, not wounds. Don't let anyone pull you back into the version of yourself you work so hard to heal from. You were not born to live small, to please the world, or to shrink for anyone's comfort. You were born to live full, walk bold, and love with strength. So protect your heart, not by building walls, but by raising your standards. Guard your peace, not with anger, but with understanding. And walk forward, not with fear, but with purpose. The world may not understand your silence. They may not appreciate your boundaries, but you will feel the difference. You'll sleep better, breathe deeper, live freer. That's the reward of emotional mastery. Keep going, keep growing. You are not lost. You are just learning how to move differently now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing yourself. Stay grounded, stay powerful, and as always, God bless you.